So today I am going to talk about dielectric materials and their classification, and this is from the electricity and magnetism for undergraduate classes. So first of all, let me talk about that. What is a dielectric? So let me talk it about here now, that what is a dielectric or dielectric material. So in electromagnetism, a dielectric or dielectric material is an electrical insulator that can be polarized by the application of electric field. By the application of electric field. So when we apply electric field, dielectric do not conduct. As in case of insulator, charges do not loosely bound. Charges are not loosely bound, means they are not free, but there is a shift. There is a shift of charges from their equilibrium and this causing polarization of dielectric. On the application of electric field, right? So that's what will happen. So let us understand it with the help of a diagram. Suppose there is a neutral atom or molecule, and this is the positive charge, and around this positive charge negative charge is uniformly distributed. Let us assume that. And when, say, electric field is applied across it, so when this electric field is applied in this direction, electric field is applied, that means positive polarity will be here, negative will be here. So due to this, what will happen? There is a shift in it. So this positive will shift it towards this side and negative will towards this side, right? That's what will happen. So that means this is a shift of the charge. There is a shift of charge on the application of electric field. Here it will be 0 and it has some finite value. So this shift of charge is known as the polarization of the dielectric. Right? So that's what will happen. And the examples of dielectric materials are air, glass, paper, mica, rubber, paraffin wax. So these are certain examples of dielectric materials. Now let us classify the dielectric materials on the basis of the molecular structure. Now let us classify dielectric materials. Classification of dielectric materials. On the basis of molecular structure. So, since molecules are of two types, one is the polar molecule and another is the non-polar molecule. Right? These are the two types of molecules are there. So first of all, let me talk about that what is a polar molecule. So a polar molecule has a net dipole moment due to unsymmetrical distribution of charge. For example, water molecule is an example of polar molecule. So let us say that how the water molecule is a polar molecule. If we try to look at the structure of it, this is the oxygen and it is bonded to the hydrogen atoms and it has two lone pairs, right? And due to this, its structure is bent due to the presence of these electron-electron repulsions are there because the presence of these two lone pairs, and say it is a partially positive, so it is the direction of the dipole moment, and if we try to look at it, then its resultant will be like this, right? So that means it has net dipole moment because these two will not cancel out. So due to this, it seems that its structure is like this. A negative charge will be here and positive will be here. So that means there is some separation between these two charges. They are separated apart, right? These two charges. So that means it has some finite dipole moment. Right? Means positive and negative charges when seems to be separated, that means there is some dipole moment. And other examples are carbon monoxide, ammonia, HCl, etc. These are some examples of what we call polar molecules. And similarly, let us talk about the let us talk about now non-polar molecules. So let us take another example. Let us take the case of non-polar molecules. So a non-polar molecule having zero net dipole moment due to symmetrical distribution of charge. And for example, carbon dioxide is an example of non-polar molecule. So it's carbon and it is bonded to the another two oxygen atoms and it is a partially positive. So that means they will cancel out each other, because actually isolated CO is a polar, but they will cancel out. This dipole moment and these two dipole moments will cancel out. Net effect will be 0, and charge is symmetrically distributed. So positive negative charges both are symmetrical, means both will coincide, means positive and negative centers coincide. Or in some books sometimes it was represented like this, around positive negative charges uniformly distributed. In either way you can represent it, right? So this causes zero dipole moment, zero net dipole moment. And the examples are hydrogen molecule, nitrogen molecule, oxygen molecule, chlorine and CCl4 molecule, carbon tetrachloride. These are certain examples of non-polar molecules. So now let us extend this idea of polar and the non-polar molecule towards the dielectric materials. So if a dielectric material consisting of polar molecules, its net dipole moment is 0, its net dipole moment is 0, and such materials are called polar dielectrics. So since the material consisting of polar molecules, even then its net dipole moment is 0, let us try to understand what does it mean. So that means the molecule inside the solid are randomly oriented, and due to this what will happen? Their net effect will be 0 due to random orientation of polar molecules. Their net dipole moment will be 0. And but what happens to it when this polar molecule is subjected to, what happens to it? Let me try to discuss it, that what happens to polar dielectric when subjected to electric field. So when this polar molecule is subjected to dielectric field, then what will happen? All the molecules align themselves in the direction of applied electric field and causing net dipole moment. So that's what will happen to it. So that means when an electric field is applied to the given sample in this direction, all the molecules, they align themselves in a particular fashion. So due to this, a net dipole moment will be there. a net dipole moment will be there. On the other hand, materials consisting of non-polar materials known as non-polar dielectric. Similarly, when field is applied across non-polar dielectric, it also induces dipole moment. Let us try to understand that what will happen. So when electric field will be zero, every molecule is a non-polar molecule. But when field is applied, then each molecule, the positive negative charge gets shifted of each molecule, and along with it they will also align in a particular direction, right? So that means what will happen when field is applied, then what will happen to the non-polar molecule? Each molecule induces dipole moment, and there is realignment of each molecule according to the direction in which the field is applied. And such a material is also known as non-polar dielectric. Non-polar dielectric. So, thus what we are concluding? We are concluding that when field is applied, then when electric field is applied, it causes induced dipole moment in both polar and non-polar dielectric, right? So that's what will happen. So that's all for this lecture, and in the next lecture I will talk about the polarization of charge. In the next lecture I will talk about polarization of matter, right? So that's all for this.